Good morning, everybody. In accordance with Section 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning that applies to property, permission to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consent to sever property to create new lots. We acknowledge the land we're meeting on is a traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Committee of Adjustment public hearings are now conducted in a hybrid in-person and virtual format. Some applicants and participants will make their submissions in person, and others will participate virtually by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform. The meetings are also streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel, and anyone wishing to view the hearing may watch on YouTube. Those who want to participate virtually and have registered in advance will be connecting with their computer, tablet, smartphone, or telephone and have the option of participating via video or audio only. All virtual participants will automatically be muted on entry. When your item is called, you will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. We also ask that you mute your devices until you're called on to speak. Those participating by video appearance will be temporarily upgraded to panelist when your item is being held. During this time, your camera will be enabled and you will be visible during your 5-minute allotted speaking time. At all other times, the video will be disabled and you'll be reinstated as attendee. For both in-person and virtual participants, Committee of Adjustment will share presentations submitted in accordance with the written submission deadline. Those participating through WebEx are not allowed to use share screen and any other panelist controls during a video appearance. The host will remove you from the panelist role if you fail to respect this instruction. People attending in person today who want to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must fill out a decision request card, and those participating virtually need to submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, your address, and email address because the Committee of Adjustment and the Toronto Local Appeal Body will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, you may be able to appeal the decision to the Toronto Local Appeal Body or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal. However, the provincial government amended the Planning Act and generally removed rights of third parties to appeal Committee of Adjustment decisions. Only the applicant, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, specified persons, and public bodies, as those terms are defined in the Planning Act, are permitted to appeal decisions of the Committee of Adjustment. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. For the hearing procedure today, I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. When your application is uncontested, the agent or applicant may proceed with their presentation if desired, and when the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant or agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you're reaching the 5-minute mark. Any presentation or other materials you wish to submit to the committee must have been emailed in advance of the hearing. Staff and committee members cannot accept materials at the hearing. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee on the application. Again, please note the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantially revised to ensure the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes. Then, individuals either in support or opposed to the application will be invited to speak. Generally, we call in speakers in the hearing room, and then those participating through WebEx. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation, and when all speakers are finished, the applicant or agent will have an opportunity to rebut only those issues raised by the other speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion. The application will then be taken into committee for a decision. All right, before we get to the first item, do we have any minutes that need to be confirmed the last meeting, Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do. It's from our April 17th hearing. Present was Ms. Casson, Mr. Swartz, Mr. Bartolo, Mr. Kubo, and Ms. Sankar.
All right. Do I have a motion to adopt those minutes?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I would like to put forward a motion to adopt the meeting of the last, the minutes of the last meeting.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Kubu, all in favor, second by Mr. Bartolo, all in favor. That is unanimous. That motion passes. Are there, for the morning session, are there any declarations of interest of panel or staff for that time slot? No declarations of interest? Great. And no, just confirming no files to be closed.
That's correct, Mr. Chair. There are no files to close today.
All right, great. Okay, let's start with our first item of the day. Actually, before we get to the first item, I should ask, do we have any deferral requests to deal with this morning?
Through you, Mr. Chair, for the AM time period, it's actually item number 1, 291 Cornelius Parkway.
All right, and that's the only deferral, I presumes? Okay, so we'll proceed in order. Okay, item number 1 on our agenda today, 291 Cornelius Parkway. This is a consent application. We've got variances, number of variances for Part 1, rear deck setback, building length, building depth, lot area, lot frontage, north and south main wall height, main pedestrian entrance height, number of stories, front porch platform setback, number of platforms on a rear main wall, rear deck area, front canopy setback, and north and south side yard setbacks. For Part 2, similar variances. I'm not going to reread them. On file material from the applicant, memo from Development Engineering, Transportation, Community Planning, Urban Forestry, and 3 letters of objection. We have our applicant or agent with us.
Yep, it's Rob Fontana here.
Your address, sir.
291 Cornelius Parkway.
All right, sir, and you are requesting a deferral of this matter?
Yes, I believe we are going to ask for deferral because the city, I believe the city planner has sent forward a refusal for the Neighborhood Act. And I wanted to, I guess, assess my options. Not sure the time frame, how long it's going to take. Not sure how. This is the first time I'm doing this. I'm sorry. I have no clue.
Nope, that's fine.
You know what I mean?
I understand. The Committee of Adjustment, just so you understand, sir, the Committee of Adjustment is, we're aware that we deal often with people that don't have background in planning, and we do our best to accommodate. So let's just hold that for a minute. We do have a second speaker I would like to get to. We have a neighbor
Okay.
online.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Your name and address, please.
Yvonne Pazian, 284 Cornelius Parkway.
All right, and so we have a request this morning to defer the application to a later date, so the applicant will have an opportunity to further discussion with community planning. I ask if you have any comments on that deferral request.
Yes, I do. I would just like to know the timeline for that. This entire timeline was very short. From the time we received the letters from the city, we were given a 2-week time frame to submit our concerns, and our neighbors did a very good job doing this. It did take time. People have full-time jobs. They have a lot of responsibilities. And when you access this information online, you see some of these applications went through in the fall of last year. So I'm asking if this deferral, and when we reach this point again, how much time are we going to have? Because a lot of people can't put their life on hold to get to do the proper research and submit the document that was submitted on our behalf for some neighbors. We did a very good job. And that's one question. What will be the timeline? The second, initially when these letters were sent out, I was told it was only a 60-meter radius from the property. with the property being in the center.
Hold on, I'm
Now-
going to stop you there because we can only speak to matters of the deferral. We're not going to get into the merits of the application at this time.
Okay, so what's the timeline with the deferral, and will this deferral, will we then eventually be at this point again where we're at the hearing?
Sure. I'll provide just to provide you a little bit of information. When an item is deferred, the item will be scheduled. That's initiated by the applicant. So once the applicant feels that their application is ready to come back before us, they will refile their application, and they will be given a date. Typically, I can't give you exact time, but we're looking at a couple weeks to a month to two. In terms of notice, I believe that was brought up. Under Section 53 of the Planning Act, city typically delivers about 14 days notice. So you'll have roughly the same amount of notice in order to file any response that you wish to make to any public notice that is recirculated as a result of the matter being deferred. Does that answer your question?
And yes, thank you. And so we'll receive letters again from Canada Post, and the documents that were submitted by myself and other neighbors, will they remain on file? Or does everything have to be resubmitted again?
My advice is if a new public notice is circulated, so that to answer your first question, yes, a new public notice will be recirculated, and a new sign will be posted on the subject property so that the public is aware of any forthcoming hearing. So that, to answer your first question, yes, there will be further notice given.
And then my second question, will these files all have to be resubmitted?
My advice is to resubmit the file. We do often receive previous file material that is deferred in a separate deferral package. Although oftentimes understand that these applications change, sometimes the variances change, so it is probably best to refile your submission if a new public notice is submitted.
Okay, thank you.
All right, okay. All right, we don't have any other speakers to this item. All right, let's go back. Yes? Hold on, if you're gonna have a question, I've gotta have you come down and state your name, address. Just because we are in a virtual hybrid hearing, all those online, we wanna make sure that they can hear us. Hold on, hit the mic button.
Okay.
There you go. Name, address, and then I can answer.
My name is Steve Bagshaw. I'm just here. I'm with the owners of 293 Mija Moon. Just a question on process. So if the variances for this property, so we are the property to the north of the applicant. So obviously we're not dealing with the actual application. We're dealing with the deferment right now, but we were here to talk about the application. Just a question of process.
Are you talking about item number 1?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Proceed.
So if the variances are accepted by the city for this property, the neighbors on either side of that or in the neighborhood on that street, will they be grandfathered in terms of the same acceptance of the variances?
No.
Is there any, so if we allow the variances on this property, which is right next to ours, will we be able to do the exact same thing? Would it be expected we'd be able to do the same thing?
No. Your rights in terms of what you can do on your property are prescribed by zoning bylaw.
Right.
And that's what we have to follow. If there's any deviation from the bylaw, it is your right to file an application
Right.
with us at the Committee of Adjustment to ask for relief. But just because one person on a street applies for relief doesn't mean that everybody else is granted the same relief.
So it's not like there's a precedent set by allowing this variance such that other properties, same configuration, same lot line?
Well, I can't really speak to precedent. When we review a file, we look
Right.
at the immediate context. We look at what's been approved,
Right.
right? So all of that's taken into consideration. But it is a de novo application. I mean, we have to review it from the get from the beginning. We don't just say, well, the neighbor's been approved, therefore, we're going to rubber stamp this one. It's every application is treated differently, and every lot on every street is unique. They have their little, idiosyncratic differences to them that may support some lots may be able to support certain variances, while others may be more challenging to.
Right. So I guess a question of procedure then. In previous such applications for variances, are precedences considered?
Well, yes.
Or are they are
Yeah.
considered?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay. That's
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. All right. Let's go back to our agent, Mr. Fontana. We have our agent
Yes.
with us?
Yep.
All right, sir. I want to provide you an opportunity to respond to two other parties that spoke on this matter before we head into committee to address the deferral request.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say like a quick few things. This house I've owned for a decade. I've invested in this property. I'm trying to make it a home for my family. I got two little kids at home. I've been living in a basement for 7 years, trying to make this happen, and it's just unfortunate that the community, even after speaking to most of them and my counselor, then who I've spoke to, have given me confidence in this matter. It's unfortunate that people are stating that this is going to be a rental property where it's not going to be. It's an opportunity that my father's given me to build two homes, to live in one for my family, and potentially give an opportunity to my brother to live in. And if he cannot sustain it, then we were going to sell it. But nowhere were we going to make these rental properties for the neighborhood. We've invested in this property. We've stayed with this property for over a decade, and we wanted to live here. And so it's unfortunate that this is happening, and I may have to just let go of the property altogether, which is unfortunate, because this was really the only way that I can put my family in a home. So yes, I will be looking at options to try and see if there's any way we can get this done. But yeah,
All right, fair enough.
that's really it.
All right, I might also, friendly suggestion, if we're going to approve a deferral so that you can further discussions with community planning, it may also provide an opportunity. I understand it may not go anywhere, but it nonetheless still offers the opportunity for you to reach out to your neighbors and see if there is any agreement
course.
that can be made in advance of the hearing. It's always helpful. All right? Okay.
Yes.
So we've heard from all the parties. I'm going to take this matter into committee now. Mr. Nipfel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to move deferral of the application to allow the applicant the opportunity to discuss options with the planning department.
All right. Do I have a seconder?
And the neighbors, to discuss with the planning department and the neighbors.
Mr. Nipfel, Mr. Kubu has a friendly amendment to the motion, add to have some discussion with the neighbors as well. So, Mr. Kubu, will you be seconding that motion then, as amended? All right, all in favor? Okay, that motion carries. The application is deferred. Thank you.
Thank you, committee.
Item number 2, 186 Ellerslie Avenue. The purpose of the application is to obtain consent to sever the property into 2 residential lots to construct 2 new dwellings. Number of variances for Part 1, side yard setback for a rear deck, encroachment into a front and side yard setback for a front canopy, lot coverage, main wall heights, number of stories, front porch area, rear deck area, lot frontage, front platform encroachment into a front and side yard setback, and 2 variances for east and west side yard setbacks. For Part 2, side yard setback for a rear deck, encroachment into a front and side yard setback for a platform and canopy, lot coverage, main wall heights, number of stories, front porch area, rear deck area, lot coverage, and 2 variances for east and west side yard setbacks. On file, material from the applicant, a signature letter in support, a memo from Development Engineering, a memo from Urban Forestry, Transportation, letters of objection from 188, 200, 201, and 219 Ellerslie Avenue, and a late staff report, as well as some new presentation material from the applicant. Mr. Rose, welcome back. Your name and address for the record.
Lauren Rose, 388 Spadina Road. If we can ask staff to put up my presentation, I'm first going to address the severance, and then hopefully I can get some more time to talk about variances.
Of course, Mr. Rose, before we get underway, I'll watch the clock. I have a Miss Trainer. Is she here today? And if so, is she going to be speaking in addition?
We also have 2 other speakers in support.
Okay.
Okay,
Just
3.
be mindful. You understand the 5 minutes. If the owner wishes to speak, just be mindful of that time.
I'm going to
allotment.
try to read through this fast because I have a lot to say.
Yeah, we may have some questions in order to afford some further discussion on this. I realize the consent applications are a little more complex and they do
Yes.
take some more.
Right.
There weren't some more time, so.
Right. If staff can put up, I think it's the last sheet with the planning area map, so committee members can see it. Be at there. Okay, this is an application to sever the widest lot on the street and to make 2 lots. There's a park to the east, and a park to the north behind. My original application, nothing to do with the 2000 application, was sent for pre-circulation in summer of 2024. Planning was required to report back if they had any concerns or comments. We heard nothing from them. ESC commented in July and again in December to ask for some revisions. In February 2025, they were happy with our changes and had no objections. Transportation has no objections. Forestry has a request for new tree. We will comply. Just before the deferral at the last hearing, I was contacted by the area planner. He was new to North York. His only concern was the internal side yard setbacks. He asked me to increase them to 1.2 meters. I asked him if he would accept a compromise of 1.17 meters. He accepted and said he had no other objections. I actually have proof to this in the letter, the chain of emails up above. I can show you that, but hopefully you'll take my word for it. He then discovered errors on the east and west setbacks, and they are written as they were written on the zoning review. We worked hard with the zoning examiner to fix these errors. Then he discovered that lot frontage and lot area were also left off the list of variances. This was horrible to deal with, as the zoning examiner was just not responsive. I was able to contact managers and building departments, and the file was reassigned to another zoning examiner who discovered other errors in the zoning review and had to fix them. I'd requested many times from the planner to review the file, and he promised he would do so, but he didn't do it until much later. There's emails saying that he would do it well in advance of the deadlines for hearings, and he did not do that. The reality is that the hearing shouldn't have been scheduled again until planning had looked at this file. On May 15th, I got another call from the area planner. He was extremely embarrassed that he was calling me to go back on his word. He told me that his manager overruled his comments and requested him to object to the file. The main reasons were for the frontage in the lot area. He went over the very similar lot sizes and frontage, which I have information on here. He said he would have his report in time before the deadline and then missed the deadline to report. C of A staff have confirmed that nothing was received on the deadline. Then later that day, I got the report and shocked to see that he was objecting to the 1.17 meter internal side yard setbacks that we agreed. There are many discrepancies in the planning report, which I have outlined in here. To begin with, he's objecting to a lot frontage of 10.6. We're not asking for 10.6, we're actually asking for 10.06. In his report, you'll see he's got the wrong lot there. There are a lot, if you can, go back to this map, so you will see that there is a lot to the left of 9.5 meters on the street. And this is the one block that they have to concentrate on. There are several of 10.2 meters, so we're 14 centimeters below many lots that were approved at 10.2, and there are several at 10.4 meters. and 10.7. So he acknowledges that over 50% of the lots are small like this. I don't understand why this is not in keeping with planning. He also notes that we are requesting a lot frontage of 401 square meters in his report. Well, that's not at all correct. We're asking for a lot frontage of 10.06. He probably meant to say lot area, but he didn't. So I have to question all the validity of the report. The bottom line here is that city has not adhered to proper practices and procedures on this file. There were so many errors on the zoning review, and proper procedures for responding to pre-circulation requests were not dealt with. The reason a file is pre-circulated is to give the applicant a choice to reach out to planning and to negotiate or not to move ahead with the C of A file. If I had known about the position of planning, we may have taken another position. We may have done these houses as multiplexes by creating a basement unit. If we did that, we'd have the exact same built form to the public. However, we'd be entitled to 45% coverage, a length of 19 meters, 3 stories would be as of right, and as many balconies as we'd like, with no area restrictions, and a higher roof line possibly. We believe these variances and the severances will not destabilize the neighborhood. They are in keeping with the city's agenda to create new housing. It is in with close proximity to the subway and Yonge Street. While we have some objections, 5 on the street, who I may note reference a planning staff report from 2020. They couldn't possibly reference the recent report because they were all received before the report was submitted. We now have 16 households in support of this application. I respectfully submit that these houses are desirable for the neighborhood and worthy of your approval. I can let the other people speak in terms of the reference to the severance, or I can go through the variances on the minor variance applications.
I just want to be mindful. I do want to hear, but I'm wondering if it might be best for procedure to ask it via our question period, just because we're at our 5 minutes on the presentation. I suspect my colleagues will have a number of questions. Why don't we start by, let's open it up for questions, colleagues, at this time. Do you guys have any questions of Mr. Rose at this time? Okay. And so I understand you wanted to discuss.
Well, I haven't gone over the variants. There's
The
3
variances
applications here,
themselves.
so I should
Fair
technically
enough.
get 15
Okay.
minutes. I don't need 15
I'll
minutes.
allow it. Yep.
Okay, so I'll go over the variances. And they're generally speaking, they're the same for both file, just east and west.
Yeah, generally.
So on part 2, what we call application is House A. Requested side yard variance for the deck is 1.8 meters. We are proposing 1.17 meters. That's what and that is the internal between the 2 lots. A platform for main walls, proposed front platform encroaches 1.51 meters into the required front yard and is 1.17 from the east side lot line. This is only for the front porch, and as you know, if you get a variance for a side yard setback, you also need them for the porches in the front and the rear. A canopy, proposed canopy is over a 2nd story front platform that does not comply with the regulations. I'll go back to the reason this is a 3-story house. So if you remember, people used to do garages at grade and then 2 stories above. Previously to a recent bylaw change, these were all considered 2-story houses, but the recent change says the floor level closest to established grade has to be the 1st floor. So even though our basement, mechanical room, all those things are in the lowest level, city calls that the 1st floor. Our 1st floor, kitchen, living room, is the 2nd, and bedrooms are the 3rd. So this variance would not be there if our 1st floor was considered our 1st floor. So it has to do with the floor level names. Maximum lot coverage of 31.99. It's no coincidence that we're at 31.99 because we know in this area the councillor would object to anything over 32%. Permitted maximum height of walls, we're asking for 8.28. Where 7.5 is the bylaw. Maximum number of stories, I already talked about that. It's 3 instead of 2. That's just semantics. Maximum area of the platforms required, allowed is 4 meters squared. We're 5.856, but this is only because our 1st floor is our 2nd floor. If it was termed the other way, we would be allowed a much bigger terrace. There'd be no size limit. And then, so that's number 7. Number 8, required lot area, obviously, we are deficient. This is the widest lot in the area, but because of the park behind it, there are a few lots that are truncated, and so we do have a variance for the lot area. And lot frontage required to be 15 meters, we're 10.06, and there are many lots in the area with the same, similar and less frontage. Side yard setback on the other side, we're asking for 1.22 meters, where 1.8 is required, and then on the interior side, the 1.17. Similar variances for the second application, so I can answer any questions regarding those if you'd like.
Questions? Yes, Mr. Nipfel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Rose, a very quick question. The 2 decks that you have at the back, as you've indicated, they're elevated because of what is considered to be the first floor, and they would appear to pose privacy issues to each other. Have you given any consideration to providing some kind of a screen, I guess, on the west side of, I'm sorry,
I guess the west would
The
be.
internal.
the east side or the other, the internal, where they face each other?
So you'll hear that the owner's going to be living in one and knows that the other person living in the other. So if they want them internally, no problem, they can have them. There is a park to the east, so there's no need there. The west side, if the neighbor would like it, we'd happily put up a 5-foot privacy screening. Although based on their letter, I don't know that they would want it, but it is an option that we would
Okay, but you've
absolutely
discussed
do.
that with them, so.
We have not discussed it with them. Sometimes people don't like that, but it's certainly, we would happily do it.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Rose, a question for you. Just if you can just give me a little bit more rationale on the variance for those main wall heights. I just look at the immediate context. I understand that where 7.5 is permitted, 8.28, it's not that bad. We see 9, 10 all the time here. And in this broader area, there are certainly newer properties with higher main wall heights. But I just look at the immediate context, and I notice there's a lot of pitched roofs, angular planes, dormers. How do you kind of contend with that in this case, where you have the walls essentially just all the way around? The height is maintained all the way around the building.
Good question. I guess my answer is, as an architect, I have to design a house that my client is looking for. I think this is an attractive house, and sometimes aesthetics, from my point of view, should maybe be more important than bylaws that don't have a large impact on neighbors. Clearly, the planner had no objection to the height of main walls. My guess, and I know that's because many similar applications have come in with higher or similar heights. So aesthetics are important to me. The bylaw is written in a certain way to control things. I think I can't speak to the intent of the bylaw, but I think limiting the height of main walls and flat roofs being different, I don't think they really took into consideration architectural merit. I think they were trying to create a homogeneous look for a neighborhood, which I do not agree with. I think neighborhoods should be lively with different styles of architecture. So unfortunately, this style of architecture does not have a low slope.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Other questions? Okay. Let's move on to our next speaker. We have, yes, please come down. We typically start with people that are here in person, and then we'll move to people online.
Thank you very much.
Name and address, please.
Yes, my name is Ruth Trainer. I'm the owner of 186 Ellerslie Avenue.
Okay. Ms. Trainer, just because your representative, Mr. Rose, just did speak on your behalf, I will provide just an opportunity for you to speak, but just be mindful that we're past our 5 minutes, okay?
Absolutely. I've made this application in order to build 2 homes, one for my young family and one hopefully for my in-laws. We have lived at this address since 2017, and both of my children were born here, and we hope to continue to raise and nurture our family in this community. At this time, we have support from 16 households in the neighborhood. including many longtime residents who have opposed other developments that do not meet or match the character of the neighborhood. There are 4 or 5, I'm now not quite sure, but I think 5 households objecting, but as Lauren Rose said, they are referencing an old staff report, and it was, the new staff report was not submitted until after those letters of objection. I'll just quickly read you one letter from our direct neighbor across the street, Mr. Stephen Biggs, because he was unable to attend today, although he wanted to, due to work commitments.
Briefly, Ms. Trainer, because
It's very short.
timing, right?
I'm writing to support the application of 186 Ellerslie Avenue. As a member and past president of the West Willowdale Neighborhood Association, I've opposed many applications in the past, but given the densification recently approved in the neighborhood, I support this application. Secondly, I'd like to note that, I'm not sure if I missed this, but our councillor Lily Cheng has also submitted a letter of support for us, along with a number of other letters of support which I don't think were listed at the beginning. So Lily Cheng has said, I'm writing on this letter on behalf of several neighbors in the community. Many immediate neighbors to this address have signed in support of the above application, and I respectfully ask the committee to take this support into account when considering the proposed land severance. I can provide a copy. It's been submitted. I'm not sure what the process is.
There we go. I was going to ask staff to pull it up on the screen.
Oh, great. Thank you.
All right. Let's see here. Staff, could we just confirm Councillor's letter is in our...
The letter was submitted yesterday.
It's
It's posted publicly.
okay, but not in our package. All right, but we do have it up on the screen.
Thank you.
And it was wise for you to come down and read it for us and put it up on the screen, so
Okay.
we're aware of it.
Great. Thank you. We have an additional letter of support, but we have another neighbor here to read it, if that's
I'll,
possible, who's
I'll
registered.
let them speak. I
Great.
just want to be mindful of procedure as chair here. We'll have an opportunity for our next speaker to read their letter. They're from a different address. Okay,
Correct.
very good.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Ms. Trainer.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Good
and
morning.
And committee members. My husband and I are the owners of 94 Tamworth Road and 103 Churchill Avenue, which backs right onto the park opposite the applicant.
Your name for the record?
It's Ines Flood.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we live at 94 Tamworth, and our daughter and her family live at 103 Churchill Avenue, which is across Abbotsford Park from the subject property. It is directly impacted by the current applications for severance and other variances being sought to make the construction of 2 buildings on the severed land viable. In our submission, the proposed variances are completely within the acceptable range of uses for the 186 Ellerslie lot and are certainly less intrusive and of a lesser impact on the surrounding neighborhood than the recently approved severance and construction of 2 triplexes on 94 Churchill that this committee approved last month. Last month, we opposed the severances of 94 Churchill as it represented a major change to the neighborhood. It consisted of a severance and the construction of 2 triplex units with a mutual driveway. These changes were firsts in the area and required numerous variances to the height and setback requirements. Ultimately, the application, our objection was rejected by the committee, and the application was approved. Although in our opinion, the requested changes were not minor and elevated the application beyond the committee's jurisdiction to grant minor variances. But we are not against intensification. In fact, we are for intensification so close to the subway, but felt the major step represented by 94 Churchill demanded a fuller discussion than that provided by an application to the committee. By contrast, this current application does little to change the nature of the neighborhood and could be even described as restrained. The addition of 2 new residences backing onto a large park and also beside a large park and within walking distance of the subway is exactly in keeping with the current provincial intensification initiative while maintaining the area's single-family home nature. In fact, given the City Planning Department's support of 2 triplexes on Churchill, it is really difficult to fathom how the city does not support this current application. It is less intrusive, does not represent a major change to the built form, and is totally in keeping with the surrounding single-family home environment. And thank you for listening to this.
Thank you. Questions? All right. We have some other speakers. Online. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Rose.
Mr. Chair, we've unmuted Marco.
Good day. Marco Drudy, 200 Ellerslie Avenue.
Good morning.
Good morning. So I'll be brief. I've been in the community since 1997. I have never objected. This is the first objection. I'm concerned that the planning committee and their report has not been provided to us. Obviously, we need to see it. We need to see what the planning community has to say with respect to the proposed severance. My concern is primarily the severance. There's a suggestion that there's a park to the east of the building. In fact, there's a pathway that goes to the east of the building. It's not a park. It could be considered, I guess, part of the park. It's for people who walk between Abbotsford and Ellerslie. Walking down that pathway is going to now be extremely restricted by having these two properties with high-level walls completely adjacent and very close to the pathway. It'll also deal with issues involving the privacy, because anybody walking through this pathway between Abbotsford and Ellerslie will be able to look not only at these walls, which are immediately adjacent to the pathway, but also everything that's happening in the backyards as well. You know, I'm hearing about precedent, and my fear is that we're going down a very slippery slope, because most of the properties on that street are in the range of 50-foot lots, sometimes 45. There may be an odd lot here and there that may be narrower, but the question is, when do we stop? And what is the point behind having the Committee of Adjustments? When you consider not only the minor variances, the multiple minor variances, but the volume of all these minor variances, you have to ask yourself, are they minor once you get to 10 or 11 or 12 variances per lot? And I would submit that they're not. The variances that they're asking for are significant in the circumstances when you look at them in their totality. And I have never objected, and in fact, I have been in support of multiple developments since being there since 1997. I just don't think severing this lot into these two tiny lots with these two buildings based on the intended future use of the present occupants, and we all know that that's going to change, is not in keeping with the official plan. It will not be compatible with the neighborhood. So for those reasons, I would object to the application, primarily with respect to the severance. Those are my submissions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Questions? All right, thank you. We have some other speakers online.
Mr. Chair, we've unmuted Millie.
Santa Barbara Road. We are within the neighborhood of 186 Ellerslie, about a 5-minute walk, and we are expressing our support for this application and believe that it is in line with the approach to development of the province and the city that we are in, because we believe that our community will thrive with a variety of lot sizes, and specifically for more single-family homes, such as the two proposed in this application. And I do want to note, again, that has been mentioned before, that other applications have been recently approved in this neighborhood for large townhouse complexes and multiplexes, one of which is on a lot only slightly wider than 186 Ellerslie Avenue. And we would much prefer, the smaller development than the density increasing as drastically as the townhouse complexes that we are seeing now. And we have looked at the other severances in the area, and many are much narrower than this application. And so I am here to fully support the application for 186 Ellerslie Avenue. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Questions? Okay. Staff, we have some other speakers online? All right.
Hello there, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry, trying to work. Hello?
Hello, we can hear you. Your name and address, please.
Hi there, my name is Rhoda Musa Molinero, and I am principal of the Toronto French Montessori School at 30.
You're cutting out
Lot
a little
change?
bit. Yep.
Hello?
Hello? You were
Yes,
cutting out
can you still
earlier.
hear me?
Okay, we can hear you now.
All right, so sorry about that. My name is Rhoda Musa Molinero. I reside at 399 Ellerslie Avenue. I'm also the
Ma'am, you're cutting out. We're not able to hear you right now.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Yep.
Okay. So my name is Rhoda Musa Molinero. I reside at 399 Ellerslie Avenue, and I am also the principal of the Toronto French Montessori School at 38 Ellerslie Avenue. I am here to support the change of lot proposed by Ruth Trainer and her architect. They are a young family with young kids, and I don't see any issues in the change of development in this area. I recently just saw across the street from my own home at 388 Ellerslie that their lot is just slightly larger than this, and they recently just divided into two large homes. So I am in full support of this.
Okay, thank you. Questions? All right.
Mr. Chair, we have one other speaker, I believe, and we're going to put the speaker on speaker phone right now.
All right, thank you.
You need to provide your name and address first, and then start talking.
My name is Xiao Shi Yin, Xiaoshi, last name Yin, from 188 Ellerslie Avenue. My father is a property owner, but he can barely speak the language, so I'll be representing the whole family.
All right, very good.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, is this my turn?
Yes.
Hey, hello. My name is Xiao Shi Yin from the immediate neighbor, like 188 Ellerslie Avenue. We want to oppose this proposal because, like, I consult some of the architects. 10 to 12 variants are not considered as minor, and considering their step back to our lot is is like supposed to be 1.8, which is a city bylaw, and I think in their variance they ask for 1.22. And I checked their report. Like they didn't mention nothing about the trees. Like if you can see our letter, I posted some photos in our letter. There's like a privacy tree line. It was there a long time. It's been been there for decades, I believe, because we moved into this property back in 2014. They are already there. The previous owner planted there. And I believe that privacy tree is along the property line. And 1.22 like setback on our side is just too close and damaging those privacy trees. I don't know how they want to do with the trees. Because I'm traveling abroad, I'm not even in Canada. I know the neighbor tried to came to our door not twice, but my parents, unfortunately, they don't speak the language very well. And also, particularly, the concern is the height of the building. If they build a building too close to us, like one of our bedroom will be reduced to a basement. The east-facing bedroom gonna definitely lost all sunlight. So I'm not opposed to the development, but I just want to ask them to follow the city bylaw, particularly the building height and the setback on our side. I don't care about another side if the city wants to give them more interior space, because on their east side, if you check the map, that is the pathway to the park behind, right? And they don't have an adjacent neighbor. Like all the other neighbors who express their supporting, they are not immediate neighbor. We are the true immediate neighbor and the only immediate neighbor. They don't have a neighbor on their east side. That's a pathway, and they don't have neighbor on their back because that's a park. So we are the party that affect the most. And my particular concern is this is gonna drastically reduce the value of our property, because one of the bedroom will be turned into like a basement. If the city approves the building height to be 8.28 and with only 1.22 setback to our side, that bedroom, I can only use it as a closet from later after their construction completed. So, back in 2020, we even didn't notice there was an application because we never received any notice. And back earlier this year, when they tried to make the proposal and before the deferral, they didn't post the sign. They just posted recently, not too long time ago. We don't see sign. We just got the letters, and my parents sent me the letters because at that time I was at work too, and it made me very hard to participate on last hearing because I have time differences. And this time again, I'm traveling right now in Macau, but I have to participate this because my parents, they don't speak language. Yeah. So this is our opinion. We oppose. We are not opposing to their project. They can build a single family dwelling, but we oppose they cut into two lots, and we oppose their building height and the setback to our side. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. You submitted that the sign was not posted in time for this. Are you referring to this around the circulation?
Because I'm off, I believe I think the speaker is a little bit too far away from you, so I can barely hear you. The sound is
Sure, I'll ask again. Did you say that the sign was not posted with respect to this application?
We moved into this property back in 2014. They're already there. The previous owner, but
No, I'm not asking about 2014. I'm asking about this public notice. Are you saying that there was no sign posted?
no, the sign. I can hear some key words, but I don't hear the whole sentence of what you are saying. The sign, we didn't see the sign. We just see. I was in Canada. I was in Toronto, in the month of April, and the sign was not there half of the time. The second half of the April, I think there was some city planning worker came to check the fire hydrant, and they post a sign like over there. But before, the sign was not there. And back in 2020, when they first time tried to do the minor variance applications, we even didn't know there was we even didn't notice.
Sir, I'm not concerned what happened in
Last
2020.
proposal back
All
in
right.
March, and we noticed some neighbor, our neighbor at 200 Ellerslie, posted the rejection letter. Then I realized, oh, they tried in 4 years ago.
All right, I'll have the agent speak to that. But in the meantime, to my members, do you have any questions?
I'm really sorry. I have to. I really cannot hear you. But I'm on YouTube stream, so I'm probably gonna just hang up the phone and listen what you are saying on YouTube.
All right, very good. Okay, thank you. All right, that's everybody. All right, okay. We'll go back to our agent, Mr. Rose, provide you an opportunity to address some of the comments that were raised.
So just in reference to the sign, staff has pictures of the sign being posted.
Okay.
I don't know if staff can pull up, I think it's page 3, the existing site plan survey. So the hedges that he's talking about are about 1.2 to 1.5 meters on our property. So there's no trees being damaged here. In fact, the city is asking us to plant a tree because they need more trees. He's objecting to the 1.2 meter side yard setback. That's fine, he's entitled to, but he's deficient in side yard setback too. He's at 1.5. So you can see there the hedges are like 1.2 to 1.5 meters on our property. In terms of the gentleman at number 200, the city expropriated the lot to the east, and it is considered a park. It is a pathway to the park behind, but it is still called a park. He's concerned about privacy for the people on the path in the park. Well, you know, anybody living beside a park, and there's no variance for that. The lot study that was done by the planner notes that 53% of the lots are undersized here. So his comments that it doesn't fit in is not necessarily, I'm not in agreement with that. He talks about the number of variances. 5 of these variances are due to the fact that the city, under the bylaw, calls our first floor our basement. And many of the houses that were built prior to this change in the bylaw have that problem. So while I do agree that the number of variances looks alarming, nothing's going to change with that if people are desiring to build houses like this if the city doesn't change how they look at houses built in areas such as this. You'll hear from the plenty of people who spoke about accepting of this proposed change. They think it's welcome. We have 16 signatures in support and, frankly, the support of the councillor. So I think this is in keeping with development in the area and good for the area.
Okay. Questions for Mr. Rose before I take this into committee? All right. Thank you, Mr. Rose. Okay. Let's move this into committee now. Mr. Nipville.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a comment. I have every sympathy with Mr. Rose's frustrations with getting answers from the city. I completely understand his frustration. And looking at the application, going in reverse order, I don't have any difficulty with the variances at all. I think they're reasonable and in many ways I think they're minor and quite modest. I do have difficulty with the consent, and it's based totally on what is included in the planning department's recommendation to us to refuse the consent. Notwithstanding the fact that there was misunderstandings of dimensions and so forth, it's pretty clear that the planning department thinks that this consent is inappropriate and doesn't conform to the official plan and the bylaws. And to that extent, I can't get past that. So I'm unable at this point to support the consent, but I do want to do that in from the point of view of acknowledging that Mr. Rose has been through some difficult times, and I really feel sorry for that.
Provide just some brief comment. With respect to the consent, this is certainly a tough one. When you're dealing with the largest or the widest lot, I should say, on the street in a block, I think the question kind of came up by one of the neighbors that says, you permit these consents, at what point does it stop, right? But I think also, I mean, if there was some give to allow consent, this would be the lot on the street for it. So it makes our decision a little more challenging. And I think unlike a lot of consent applications that we see where the block pattern is very similar, you may have a street with 50-foot frontages and 95% of those lots are all the same. I do take Mr. Rose's submission that there is a bit of variation on this street with respect to the built form. There are some smaller lots. So I actually support, I disagree with planning on this one. I think that it wouldn't stand out. At a lot of applications we get where they're asking for, the requirement is 15 and they're asking 7.5 and every other, house on the street is 15, it's going to stand out as a consent. In this case, I'm not sure that change to the block pattern is going to render as such, just given the kind of some of the narrower lots across the street. I agree with your comments with the variances. I had some concern with the main wall height, but I think it's modest, and I take Mr. Rose's submission that this is also a street where the built form is a little more varied. There's a little bit more flexibility in terms of what we expect to see on the street. So, but certainly a tough one for me, I will say. I will note, as chair today, we have 4 members, and the rules would dictate such that the chair cannot vote if it would result in a tie, just so everybody understands. But I still will be providing comment, and where I am provided the opportunity, I will still provide my vote. We have 2 other members, Mr. Bartolo.
I'll make some brief comments, Mr. Chair. I agree with Mr. Nimfeld when it comes to the variances. I don't really have too much of an issue with that. When it comes to the consent, I admit this one's a little bit of a challenging one. I think the one mitigating factor that allows me to get behind it and support it is while the lot area is numerically a little bit lower than what the city would like to see and then what maybe some of the neighboring properties are, the fact that it backs onto a park, I think helps a lot.
It mitigates,
If that park
yeah.
wasn't there, in theory, this lot would be extended and would meet all of those numerical requirements. So from a street point of view, I don't think it's affecting anything on the street. From a park point of view, I don't think it's affecting anything in the park, to be honest. So they're kind of being punished a little bit for having some parkfront real estate, but I think that factor mitigates it. And the fact that it's wide open to 2 sides and also helps the application as well, one being the path into the park and then one being the main portion of the park itself. So I'm willing to support this consent and the variances.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I think I will also be willing to support this application. I was very attentive to the neighbors about some of the concerns regarding the trees and then the diminution of the value of the property, which is not part of our mandate here. So I think Mr. Rose made a presentation about the challenges he has had working with the city, and overall, I think although the application in general has a couple of issues, I'm willing to support this application, Mr. Chair.
All right.
And then provided also that there is a condition from TPPR, so that I'm overall willing to support this application.
I will say this with respect to the city's kind of flip-flopping on this. It just gives me the impression that the city had their own difficulty in making a decision. So that would lead me to believe that it's a pretty close call that was made. Again, doesn't make our decision easier, but at least it identifies it as an application that kind of, let's say, if approved, does take some liberties to kind of push the limits. Okay. A motion? Mr. Bartolo?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, given all the discussion on this in my previous comments, I will put forward a motion to approve this application. We'll start with the consent application, subject to the conditions of the urban forestry memo and the advisory comments from the transportation memo attached. And the standard conditions for consent noted in the ECS memo.
Yeah, it's good to ECS, yeah. All right. I think he mentioned forestry. I see a forestry number 3. Just ensure that it's applying to the correct part.
Let me pull up the schedule here.
Our matrix indicates it would be just part. That's tough to say. But is it urban forestry? Just apply to the consent then. Okay. Number 3, correct. All right. Do I have a seconder? Second by Mr. Cabu. All in favor? All right. Opposed? Mr. Nipfil, for the record. That motion carries. The application is approved. Oh, hold on. We just had a motion. The consent is approved. Thank you for that correction there.
Echoing my same comments, I'll put forward a motion to approve the variances as presented here.
Second by Mr. Cabu. All in favor? Okay, that is unanimous. All right. Very good. Staff, members, how are we doing? Do we need a short relief break or another? Can we do another item? Okay. Let's do one more item. Item number 3, 1145 Finch Avenue West. The purpose of this application is to seek permission to increase the number of front yard and total parking stalls and relief from the requirement for a Type B loading space. There are 3 variances related to the noted purpose. On file material from the applicant, an email from Metrolinx, letter of concern from the Duke Heights BIA on file. Do we have our agent with us?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, committee members, staff. My name is Valdemar Nickel from NOR Architects.
Sir, just a little hard to hear. Could you just ensure you're speaking into the mic?
Yes, sir. Valdemar Nickel from NOR Architects, 175 Bloor Street East on the...
All right. We can hear you, but barely. So just please keep that in mind. I will interject if we can't make out what you're saying. Okay, Mr. Nickel?
Thank you.
Before we get to a presentation, I'm going to ask my colleagues whether they have any questions or they require a full presentation from you. I'm seeing heads shake. If it's all right with you, we could probably take this into committee for a decision for you.
Thank you. Yes, please.
All right, let's move this into committee. Mr. Nipfil.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I personally don't have any difficulty with this application. I can't see that the additional parking is creating a difficulty either on the street or on the site itself. It would have been helpful to have some information from transportation, but we don't have that. Based on what we have in front of us, I personally don't have any difficulty with the application, and I'm prepared to support it and move a motion in favor.
Okay. Second by Mr. Bartolo. Is that a motion?
Sure.
Unless there's any other comment, no. I saw a thumbs up from Mr. Bartolo. I presume it's a second to the motion. All right. All in favor? That's unanimous. That application is approved.
Thank
Thumbs
you,
up?
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
committee members and staff.
All right, let's
Thank
keep.
you.
All right. Number 4, 3 RENOAK Drive. The purpose of the application is to permit 4 parking spaces on the existing driveway located in the front yard. Variances include permission to permit maintaining the existing driveway and to permit 4 parking spaces in the front yard, as noted in the purpose. On file, material from the applicant, letters of objection from number 9 and 10 RENOAK Drive, and a signed form document with 10 or so residents from RENOAK Drive in support. Have our agent with us. Oh. Just with a little bit of technical difficulty, just give us one moment. Lost my video. There we go. Strange. All right. We have our agent with us.
Hi.
Good morning, sir.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Name and address.
Good morning. Yes, my name is Human Riahi. I'm the designer. My address is Unit 103 at 200 Consumers Road, North York.
All right, thank you. Sir, there's some opposition to this item. I'm going to ask for a presentation from you. We've got the 5 minutes up on the screen, and the floor is yours.
Sure. This project is about a fourplex. We already got the permit. And we have 1 3-bedroom, 2 2-bedroom, and 1 1-bedroom unit over there. And because we changed the existing garage to a living space, so zoning asked for removing the driveway and put a landscaping there. But because the potential tenants may have cars, and we try to keep the existing driveway and use it as a parking space to facilitate these tenants, potential tenants, and also it's good for moving in, moving out. And this parking space also help to reduce the parking usage of parking in the street. So we're reducing the load of parking from the street, bringing onto the existing driveway. And also, if it's possible to check Google Map, and for this address, you can see there are already 4 parking park right there. And the picture was taken September 2020.
All right, thank you. Can we just pull up the site plan drawing? We'll zoom in. Sir, just to confirm for me, and also just to ensure we're consistent with the public notice, that width of the driveway on the site plan, can you just confirm that is correct? That's noted as 6.71 meters wide?
That's right.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to take a look at the site photos. And the reason I asked for the site photos is I noticed that the drive actually appears to be inconsistent with the site plan. It appears that the driveway actually widens as it approaches the side yard, and it's all hardscaped. Could you maybe speak a little bit? Am I looking at a discrepancy there? I'm misreading the drawing, or looking at misinterpreting the photo?
No, yeah, this photo, if there's a container on the driveway, right?
I see it, yeah. If you
So
notice,
maybe that's why we cannot see the driveway.
it looks like
properly.
that driveway extends all the way to the edge of that fence, which appears to be more or less at the side of the property line. However, on the site plan, you've indicated a bit of a triangular soft landscaping strip beyond the driveway, which I don't see.
Yeah, because there is a snow accumulation at the left side. Yeah. If you can bring back the site plan, please.
Yeah. Do you see the area I'm talking about? That triangular spot, I think staff are highlighting it for you there.
Yeah, it's already widened. Yeah, it's widened.
already, but you've
That's
indicated
the minimum. That's the minimum weight of the driveway. Okay, I can say it's the proposed minimum because I can go even more, which we don't really need.
Okay,
I wanted
so-
to show the minimum width of the driveway.
Sorry, you wanted to show the minimum without the driveway.
Yes, I could go more, but for sake of calculations and minimum, it was good enough.
Okay, so is the site plan then incorrect?
Well, I can say the measurement is from the beginning of the driveway. I didn't want to measure the end of the driveway.
All right. Okay. Any other questions right
All
now?
Because minimum happens at the beginning of the driveway.
Yeah, we may come back to that. It just, you've represented one thing on the site plan, but the photos that you've submitted show another. So I'll leave it there. We will come back to this. Mr. Nipfel, my colleague has a question for you.
Basically, it's the same issue, Mr. Chairman. From the photo, it looks as though there's a green space along the property line, and the driveway doesn't go all the way to the property line. On the site plan, the driveway goes, at least for a portion of the depth, all the way to the edge of the property. If the photograph is right, there isn't enough space to put those 4 cars on. So something's wrong.
I think that the photograph is correct. I think the drawing's wrong. I think what they've done is they've shown the driveway, they've shown the lines, the extents, the length extents to be parallel to each other. But in actuality, because look, the north side of the lot line actually kind of veers back on an angle.
So
and I think what they've,
driveway's on an angle.
I think they've hardscaped right to the property line. That's what I'm reading from the photos. But on the site plan, they've indicated it as a driveway with a landscape buffer on the side.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
all right. Did that provide some clarification, at least for now?
Actually the intention is to show the minimum driveway, minimum width of the driveway, not the maximum.
All right. Let's put a pin in that for now. We may come back to it. Any other questions? Okay. We have some other speakers here. Yes. Welcome. Thank you for coming down.
Hello. Before, I just wanted, this is my first time here. Hello, Mr. Chair and committee. I just wanted to ask a question.
Of course, yep. Before you do, I'm going to ask for your name and address.
Yes, my name is Susan Williamson, and I live at 6 RENOAK Drive.
All right, welcome.
Thank you. I just wanted to know, I know you're very strict about the time of 5 minutes. I just had cataract surgery, and that's why I'm wearing these lovely glasses. And I wanted to know if there's a little bit of indulgence because of that, and also because I have a letter which was submitted to Jenny Cottis saying that Hung Trang, our next door neighbor at 8 RENOAK, is not able to attend because of work obligations, and he's giving me his time. I don't think I'll need more than an extra 2 minutes, if that. Otherwise,
right.
I'm going to have to speak super, super fast.
No, I'll allow it. You are, just to confirm, your property address is number 6.
Yes.
And you're also speaking on behalf of your neighbor,
Number 8.
which is number 8.
Yes.
All right, I'll allow it.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I will just say, further to your question about whether the driveway is on the lot line, it is on the lot line, and what you see is the green space is the neighbor's space. So the driveway is on the lot line. Okay, we represent 11 neighbors who signed the letters submitted to the committee. We asked the committee to deny the application. Point 1, the application does not support the goals of the official plan. The official plan envisions walkability, proximity to transit, and housing density, not vehicle density. The official plan welcomes, quote, a growing population by enabling vibrant, walkable, transit-oriented neighborhoods. Priorities include, quote, a network of growth aligned to transit and, quote, using planning as a tool to achieve net zero emissions. 3 RENOAK has a high walkability rating. The TTC is 2 short blocks away with easy connections to both subways. Within a 10-minute walk, there are 2 major groceries, 2 drugstores, 3 banks, and multiple other services. Many units in the area are rented without parking. Point 2, the variance is not minor. The application violates parking codes not mentioned in the application and contravenes the official plan. The City of Toronto specifies, quote, duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes in Toronto are not required to provide parking spaces on the property. However, if a property owner chooses to provide parking, they must adhere to the standards outlined in the zoning bylaws. Point 3, the application does not mention the Toronto Parking Code, which prohibits tandem parking. That's in Parking Space Regulations 200.5.1. And in the letter we submitted, we have referenced all of the codes and bylaws and an official plan. According to Tandem Parking Code, quote, a required parking space may not be a tandem parking space except when it is required for a secondary suite, group home, or duplex building. Toronto Code definitions distinguish between a duplex and a multiplex. Clearly, the application contravenes this code. Point 4, even if tandem parking was allowed, the driveway length is shorter than code requires. We provided a detailed calculation in our letter and referenced the relevant parking codes. Minimum parking space code requires a 13.1 meter driveway length. That includes the space requirements between the vehicle and the house and between the vehicle, last vehicle, and the sidewalk. The site plan shows a diagonal line measuring 12.5 meters, but shows cars parking straight. So the actual driveway length is shorter than 12.5 meters. Point 5, there are good reasons to prohibit tandem parking in a fourplex. Imagine 4 strangers constantly jockeying for space. What if an occupant's car is blocked when they need to leave for work or in an emergency in the middle of the night? Or maybe they just simply want to go out. What if the occupant blocking them is away, unwilling, or unable to move their vehicle? Point 6, parking 4 vehicles at 3 RENOAK violates building and fire codes. Parking in space number 4 on the site plan blocks the exterior stairs. It's a code violation. 4 apartments means up to 12 waste bins, including the waste, recycling, and organic waste. Storing bins on the driveway is the only location that meets code. This eliminates uses spaces number 1 and 4 for parking. Bins cannot be stored to the left of the driveway because the driveway is on the lot line. Storing bins on the front lawn violates the required amount of soft landscaping code. Storing bins near the units blocks emergency egress and emergency access. In our submission, we provided a picture as evidence of that. Point 7, my last point. Tandem parking 4 vehicles at 3 RENOAK endangers or possibly endangers children walking to school. 3 RENOAK is the first house on RENOAK closest to Rockford. It is a school zone. Many children walk to Rockford School, which is a block away. There is no crossing guard at RENOAK and Rockford. 4 strangers jockeying cars in a rush to get to work could endanger these young children. In summary, the application does not support the official plan, which envisions walkability, proximity to transit, and net zero emissions. The city specifies that if an owner wants parking spaces, those spaces must meet code. By code, tandem parking is prohibited at a fourplex. The application does not mention this important parking code. Even if tandem parking was allowed, the driveway length is too short to meet parking code requirements. Storing waste bins on the driveway is the only location that complies with code. There is no room to also park 4 cars. Tandem parking at 3 RENOAK would violate building and fire codes for emergency egress and access. Occupants jockeying cars in a rush to get to work could endanger children walking to school, and we have a lot of children walking to school on RENOAK. We and our 11 neighbors urge the committee to deny the application, and we thank you for your consideration. And I made it with time to spare.
You did. Close. Thank you.
Oh, it was over, sorry. Okay.
Questions? Mr. Bartolo.
Yes, thank you, for your submission. Is street parking allowed in that area?
Not overnight.
Not overnight.
During the day, yes.
And all of the neighbors keep their bins in the driveway all of the time?
No. We have people that park, I think the bylaw is we can park on the street until 2 a.m.
No, I was following up on your point about the bins being the only place to store them being in the driveway.
Well, if I can clarify that, the only place to store the bins is on the driveway because there's no space on to the left of the driveway because that's the lot line. There's no space to the right of the driveway because the site plan is actually inaccurate. There's more hard space there than is shown on the site plan, and the city requires that 60% be landscaping, and 75% of which needs to be soft landscaping. So if you put the bins to the right of the driveway, there's not enough soft landscaping. And parking the bins by the units, this is a tight lot, and parking the bins by the units means no emergency access or egress. So the consequence of all those is that unless the waste bins are in the backyard, the only place to put it is in the driveway. If the only place to put it is in the driveway, there's not room for 2 more cars.
Fair enough, I understand. Thank you.
Other questions? Mr. Nipfel.
Thank you, Mrs. Williamson. It was your first time. That was a really good presentation.
Thank you.
Would I be correct in following up on my colleague's question? A lot of other people have the ability to park or to put waste bins in the garage themselves because these people don't have a garage anymore. They're using the garage for habitable rooms, but many of the other people on your street, I assume, store their bins either in the side yard or in the garage.
Most people, I think it's a mix. People we store our bins on the side yard. Some people store them in front of the garage. Some people store them in the garage. Yeah. But the people that store them on the side don't have a unit entrance to an apartment, on the side of their garage. That's the issue. Yeah. So it is a mix. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Other questions? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have some other speakers in person to speak to this item. Okay. You're here for this item? Please come down and give us your name and address. No rush, no rush. I'm just waiting for somebody to topple down those stairs I've said it now. It's.
Thank you, committee. Thank you, Chairman. My name is Ian Alter, IANALTER, 44 Barclay Road in North York. My mother-in-law owns the adjacent home at 5 RENOAK. That's where my wife grew up. The application, there's another aspect which is in the written application that Mrs. Williamson aptly described, is that the permit says it's 3+1 units, and it's actually 4 units. That is one. And the house itself, in the original submission by the applicant, says, well, there's been a permit to approve this construction. The practical reality is the construction is virtually finished. It's a fait accompli. I have personally been in the house. I was toured through the house. And the house itself goes completely against the nature of the character of the rest of the neighborhood, which are all single-family dwellings on a quiet residential street. So the combination of the tandem parking, the bin storage with the lack of the garage, which became living space, it's going to be a lot of action on a very quiet street. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Questions? All right.
Thank you.
Staff, we have some speakers online for this item? All right, if in that case, let's turn it back to the agent. So this time we'll provide the agent an opportunity to respond to the comments that were raised by the neighbors.
Sure. Yeah, for garbage bins, we were assigning space on the south side where we have a wide setback. If you see there on the picture, there is a double door gate on the right side. Yeah,
Yes.
Behind that double door gate, we have plenty of space for bins.
Okay.
Right, so there is no need to put the bins on the driveway, and even if they don't show, and it's good to go. Yeah, you can see the door also is open. Yeah, here, right. Exactly.
All
Same
right.
place.
And thank you to staff for helping to navigate the file.
Yeah, and so there is no need to put the garbage bin outside, like in front of the property.
All right.
And for the tandem parking, let me tell you that the site plan doesn't show the sidewalk. It is the property line. So we actually have extra 1.3 meters to put a tandem parking. So if you see, that's a standard parking space, which is 5.6 meters. And if we add 5.6 meters, we get to 11.2. And eventually we have 1.3 meters extra, which is good for being away from the front face.
All right. So if I understand
And
correctly,
also,
let's just get some just a clarifying question on the site plan. Where you've indicated the end of the driveway, that extent right there, is that the beginning of the sidewalk?
no, it's a property line.
It's the property line. So you're saying that there is some
Yeah.
driveway, additional
buffer.
driveway before the sidewalk on the city right of way?
Yeah, if you have the picture, if you can see the picture,
I mean,
right.
yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you for that.
All right.
Any questions? All right. Let's take this into committee. Mr. Nipfel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm opposed to this application on a number of points. Most importantly, I don't believe that it's appropriate to turn the entire front into a parking lot, which is basically what we have before us. We have a parking lot for 4 cars. The fact that the cars are parked in tandem creates all sorts of problems. As Mrs. Williamson indicated, and is obvious, jockeying those cars around so that there in fact are spaces for 4 people to get in and out is no small matter, and it does, in my view, create a safety problem, both for the point of view, both for people using the sidewalk, pedestrians, and also for emergency vehicles. The space that's perhaps available for putting garbage containers along one side is really inconvenient for 2 of the 4 units. One unit's on the other side of the building, the other unit's at the back. So I would argue that that is also a challenge. But to me, the biggest problem is 4 parking spaces on the front yard, which is in effect a parking lot, and the need to jockey because they're tandem spaces. I just don't think it's feasible, and I will not be supporting the application.
Mr. Kaboo?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I think unfortunately I will have to side with my colleague. This application doesn't seem to meet all the requirements. It is just putting out the parking, completely removing everything and replacing them with parking space. Does not seem to meet the code requirements. Doesn't seem to something I would be willing to support.
Okay. All right.
I'll put my 2 cents in for whatever it's worth. From a practical perspective, and I suppose from a planning perspective, I think if we're going to have 4plexes in neighborhoods, we have to have a little bit of flexibility on transportation and parking. Otherwise, they're just not going to work in all circumstances, or certainly not going to be provided with the amount of parking that makes them practical. That is what it is. From my point of view, if this were still a single-family home, the driveway is an existing condition for well over a decade, and you could have, multiple people living there having to jockey their cars to meet schedules and whatnot, regardless of whether they're separate units or living in one unit. While I recognize some of the practicalities of different people, different units, having to coordinate that, and it's not ideal, granted. But ultimately, if people choose to live in that condition, then that's up to them if they can make it work. So from that point of view, I don't have an issue. I just think we need to have flexibility for multiplexes in neighborhoods, because the neighborhood wasn't necessarily designed like that from the onset. But if we're going to allow this, the rest of the bylaws and everything else has to catch up, and there has to be some lenience, in my opinion, in order to accommodate that housing type that the city has determined that we need. So I can support it. That's about it from my point of view.
All right. Motion, Mr. Nipfel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd move that the application be refused.
For I guess previously stated reasons.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Second by Mr. Kaboo. All in favor? Opposed? Mr. Bartolo on the record is opposed. All right, that application is refused. Yes, let's take a relief break. 5 minutes, okay?
Excuse me, sorry, can I add something?
We're adjourned until noon. 11:55 a.m. Let's adjourn at 11:55 a.m. Thanks, Steph. All right, we are back. We just finished item number 4. Moving on to item number 5, 41 Sagebrush Lane. Purpose of the application is to construct a one-story addition, 2 variances for building setback to an east lot line and platform encroachment. On file, material from the applicant, memo from Urban Forestry, and a signature form letter in support. All right, we got our agent with us. While we're waiting for the agent, it has come to my attention, we do have one conflict in the session. That is going to be for item number 6 for Mr. Bartolo. So when we get to that item, I'm going to ask that he state his conflict, and then he will step out when we hear that item. Staff, do we have our agent for item number 5? Hello, good morning.
Good morning. My name is Branko Mladenov. I'm the architect. My address is 3141 Road.
All right, thank you. Sir, I'm going to ask my colleagues whether they need a presentation from you or whether they have any questions. Mr. Kaboo, are you okay with that one? Yeah? All right. Sir, I don't require a presentation. It looks like we can head into committee, but if there's anything you'd like to add, you may do so.
I mean, everything is pretty simple. I don't need anything to add, just 2 small items.
I think so. Okay. Yeah, very good. All right. Okay, I'll take this into committee. Mr. Nipfel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a very straightforward application, 2 very small variances that I don't think have any detrimental impact on the community. I'd like to move approval without any conditions.
All right. Seconded by Mr. Kaboo. All in favor? That's unanimous. That application is approved. Item number 6. Right. Mr. Bartolo, we have a conflict. What is your conflict with this?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Bronscale and I have a mutual client that we're working on a file with together, so I suppose we have a working relationship together on a file.
All right, thank you for that. All right, we'll ask you to step out. Item number 6, 110 to 120 Broadway Avenue. The purpose of the application is to request relief from parking space size requirements and reduce indoor amenity space requirements. 4 variances related to parking and 1 related to reduction in ratio of amenity space to unit area. On file, material from the applicant, memo from transportation. We have our agent with us, Mr. Bronskill.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Last name's Bronskill, first initial D for David, 333 Bay Street, Suite 3400 in Toronto, here as agent for the applicant.
All right. Sir, just help me out here. I see a request from transportation. They're asking for deferral. Would you be able to address that request?
Sorry, sir, are they?
I may be mistaken. Hold on. They're not.
There are 3.
I apologize.
Sorry, you scared me.
Yeah, I apologize. There's, okay, yeah. Actually, I'm going to let Mr. Nipfel just noted there's 2 conflicting reports. I may have noted the wrong report, so I do apologize. I do apologize for that. Yeah, so we've got the most recent report there. Okay. I'm glad to see that request for deferral has been since withdrawn. Okay, so I stand down my question to you. I will ask you, though, you have been in discussion with transportation. Perhaps you can just give us a little bit of an update as to where things were left with them.
I can, sir. That memo is the most current. There were some iterations of the memo. And Mr. Chair, my understanding is both city planning and transportation services are raising no objection. That memo, sir, you'll see there it says a neutral report on that.
I do.
Apologies to staff. It says a neutral report there. When you go back through, sir, what they've done is categorized or gone through each of the 4 variances for parking. There are 4 variances, Mr. Chair, because they technically relate to, it's the same topic, which is parking spaces that during the construction process don't meet either the length or the width or the obstructions. So it's four separate variances, all related to the same topic. Transportation staff go through each one of them. So for variance 1, they indicate no objection. For variance 2 and 3, they indicate no objection. And then for variance 4, which are length deficient, what they've said is we do want to have a pavement marking and signage plan for those. And that's what they've then put under the conclusions in paragraph 1. So when they say a neutral report, sir, I would say it's a non-objection report, if I could characterize it that way. Because they're not ultimately concerned with the variances. They just do want that pavement and marking signage plan to address the 4th variance. And then the presentation materials, sir, I can go through them in detail if you'd like, but I also don't want to take too much of your time. They detail where the obstructions are or the limited length and width. In some instances, for example, sir, it's not the column next to the space that is causing the obstruction, but it's that there's then a vertical pipe next to it. And because that vertical pipe extends the length of the column, it ultimately ends up being an obstructed space. So they're quite technical, I would say, in terms of the restrictions on the parking spaces. But you do have a BA group memo that has been accepted by transportation services staff to confirm that there's no issue with accessing or turning into any of the spaces. So that although they are quote unquote obstructed, they are fully functional spaces. And then just quickly on the amenity space, sir, and then I'm happy to answer any questions. The amenity space variance is because for a portion of the space, the as-built floor to ceiling would not technically mean the space could qualify. So the space is still there. It's just, sir, that the floor to ceiling doesn't meet OBC requirements for it to be counted as such. Planning staff are in support. We're still at 1.8 square meters of indoor amenity space, or 94% of what's required. It's still greater than 1,600 square meters. It's just that impacted space we can't technically count under the bylaw. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I think they're quite technical variances that have sort of resulted as you build a complicated project such as this. But we have now worked them through with both planning staff and transportation staff, and I'm pleased to confirm they don't object.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bronskill. Yes, just as a point of clarification, the revised transportation letter, I should say, was circulated in our late package dated on the 27th. And we also have received your presentation dated the 27th as well. We have reviewed that material. I don't have any questions, nor do I require any more of a presentation. However, I will ask my colleagues whether they have any further questions or, yes, Mr. Nipfel?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Bronskill, in the original Transportation Services memo, I'm assuming you have it, they raised the same issues about markings, which is not unusual, but they've also talked about inserting clauses in the condominium agreements, and I'm interested in that isn't in the most recent memo. I'm interested to know if it's not in there, maybe that's been done, and maybe that's why it's not in the memo. And then they've also included a comment about an unidentified variance, and you must be familiar with it because you reviewed the application. Am I to assume that these issues have all been resolved with transportation, and that the only outstanding one and the only one that we have to give voice to in a decision is the markings of substandard parking spaces?
That is correct, sir. They've all been worked through. The zoning waiver or zoning notice, sir, I think was. I'm just going to characterize it, sir, as wanting to ensure that we had flagged all of the variances in an appropriate manner as they were included, and we did work that through with transportation services staff, and there's no missing variance. Everybody's satisfied with what has been provided, sir. So I don't think that's a concern. And then we talked through, sir, the issue of clauses for purchase and sale agreements, sir, and if anyone was purchasing such a space, they would be advised, sir. Given where the project is at, sir, in terms of its construction, we worked out with transportation services that we didn't need to include that just in terms of building permit issuance. They're satisfied that anyone who might be using such a space would be aware of that, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right. Any other questions? Right. And staff, we don't have anybody else online for this item. All right. Okay, Mr. Bronskill, thank you. Let's take this into committee. Mr. Nipfel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with Mr. Bronskill. It's a very technical variance request, and notwithstanding the fact that there's a lot of parking spaces involved, understandable given the way in which construction proceeds. I have no difficulty with what's being asked of us, and I'd like to move approval of the application, subject to the transportation condition about lane or marking signage plans to ensure dedicated small car parking spaces have appropriate pavement markings and signage as dedicated small car spaces.
All right. Do I have a seconder? Okay, second by Mr. Cabu. All in favor? That is unanimous. That application is approved. All right, we get Mr. Bartolo back. Mr. Bartolo. All right. We are on item number 7, 239 Bedford Park Avenue. This is an application to construct a second-story addition to the existing detached garage and convert it into a laneway suite. 3 variances required for this application. They're related to height and/or the number of stories, as well as a reduction in soft landscaping. Yeah, total of 4 variances, 3 related to height and number of stories, and 1 related to reduction in soft landscaping. On file, I have material from the applicant, a report from community planning, form letters in support from 234, 237, and 243, as well as a letter of objection from 184, 188, and 190 Douglas Avenue. All right, staff, we just have the 1 speaker? All right. Just a moment. Do we have Mr. Smith? Thank you. Mr. Romano.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Franco Romano, Action Planning 321 Lakeshore.
All right, sir. Just give me a moment. I'll ask my colleagues. I realize there is some opposition to this. We have reviewed the file and the letters, but I'm going to ask my colleagues whether they require a full presentation.
No, could he clarify if he's making the changes that planning asked for?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Nipfel. Sir, is there any modifications to the application?
Yes, thank you for that question. So there are no modifications, and planning staff did not ask for modifications. They just asked for the conditions of approval, that variances 1, 2, and 3, which all relate to the height and the separation distance of the primary dwelling and the laneway suite, to be constructed in accordance with basically the site plan and the 4 elevation drawings.
All right.
And we're okay with that condition.
Yeah, and just as a point of clarification, you have an existing garage, and you're looking to add a story on top. With respect to that soft landscaping variance, is there any reduction as a result of adding the second story on top of the garage? Is there any change to the soft landscaping in the backyard, or is the variance triggered just as a result of the intensification on the ancillary structure?
Yes, thank you for that question. So that rear yard landscaping condition is essentially the existing condition.
All right.
There is no building footprint. There is no building footprint change. I know the walkway paving stones are a little different, but that doesn't affect the landscaping calculation at all. It's a minuscule difference. So that rear landscaping is existing.
All right, fair enough. Thank you for that. I'll ask my colleagues if they have any other questions. Mr. Niffel, did you want any bit of presentation on this one, or are you okay with? Okay. All right. Mr. Romano, it doesn't appear we need a presentation. If it's all right with you, we can proceed into committee.
Yes, thank you. It's fine with me. Appreciate that.
All right. Okay, let's take this matter into committee. Mr. Kibu?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, based on the staff report and the explanation from Mr. Romano, I'm more than willing to make a motion to approve this application, subject to the conditions from which are on the staff report, that variances number 1, 2, and 3 related to the laneway suite and ancillary structures, height, separation from the main dwelling, and number of stores developed substantially in accordance with the site plan, north, south, and east and west elevations, drawings submitted to the committee, and then the attachments.
All right. Mr. Nipfel?
Did you include the fact that the approval only pertains to the development of the second story addition to the existing ancient ancillary structure?
Yes,
You did?
sir.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that.
No, I did not do it, but we.
He didn't note it, but for good measure.
But it is here.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
gonna take, so,
Would you take that as a friendly amendment?
Yes.
Okay.
Amendment, yes.
all
I'm
right.
happy to second.
All right, so we have a motion by Mr. Kaboo with condition in line with the recommendations noted in the community planning staff report, second by Mr. Nipfel. All in favor? That's unanimous. That application is approved. All right, item number 8, 21 Tilson Road. The purpose of the application is to construct a front addition and new front porch. One variance required, front yard setback, on file material from the applicant, report from community planning, form letters in support from number 20, 23, 25, and 29 Tilson Road. We have Mr. Smith with us.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Jay Smith, 2814 Hollington Crescent, Mississauga, agent for the application.
All right. Just give us a moment here. Sir, just a clarifying question. With respect to the porch enclosure, this pertains to, this is not a full porch enclosure, right? It's just a partial porch enclosure?
That is correct, Mr. Chair. We are enclosing the existing partial front porch and then adding an open porch with a flat roof beside it. So it is basically half the front width of the home.
All right. I'm going to ask my colleagues whether they require full presentation or if they have any questions. I suspect not. No. All right. Sir, it looks like we can head into committee for decision for you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, let's take this into committee. Yes, did note we have a staff report from community planning. Recommendation substantially in accordance with the site plan drawing, if it were to be approved. Mr. Bartolo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't think this is an overly contentious one. I'm prepared to put forward a motion to approve this application subject to it being developed substantially in accordance with the site plan drawings attached to the staff report.
I might note the immediate context also. It supports, there's a lot of kind of half enclosure, porch enclosures on the street, so I think it's in keeping with the area. Okay, thank you for the motion. I saw a second by Mr. Nipfel. All in favor? That's unanimous. That application is approved.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Item number 9, last item of our morning session. The address is 892 Castlefield Avenue. The purpose of the application is to construct a 3-story fourplex dwelling, variances for front yard setback and west side yard setback. On file, material from the applicant.
Hi, good morning. My name is Noam Hazan. I'm located at 14 Leswin Road. That's North York, M6A 1K3.
All right, staff,
And I'm the agent for this application.
Just want to confirm we don't have any other speakers?
Actually, to you, Mr. Chair, we have a letter of objection from a next door neighbor.
Okay.
And they requested, since they cannot attend the hearing, they requested to put up their letter. I think it's in a late submission, just to make sure that the committee members see that letter.
Sure. Staff, if you may, just pull that up on the screen for everybody to see. Just take a moment. This individual didn't show up to speak. I don't require full presentation. I'll ask my colleagues whether they do. But what I would like to hear, I would like to provide the agent an opportunity just to respond to the letter of concern. Is perhaps my only request, my only question here is to get a response based on the letter of opposition from the immediate neighbor. So that's it. Let's go to the agent. Sir, have you spoken with the immediate neighbor?
We knocked on, but there was nobody at home when we went by. We tried to communicate, but weren't able to get in touch with them. This is the first time I've seen this letter, so I'm just sort of trying to digest it. I mean, from what I'm understanding, they're saying that they have a chimney there. They're concerned that the new construction may impact their chimney, and that they're not willing to change anything to the new change anything on their site based on our proposal. From what I can tell, I mean, right now, where our proposed building is going is no closer than the current building. So I don't really foresee any issues or any clashes with what is existing. And obviously, we would adhere to the building code when we build this. And obviously, I don't foresee any conflict with their current structure as it stands.
All right. I picked up there with respect to we've got two variances. With respect to the west side yard setback variance, so my understanding then, the request for that variance, in terms of planning rationale, the plan is to construct on the existing foundation?
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
We're slightly in from that as well, from where the existing wall is, but the site is angled, so it's a little bit tricky, but we've straightened out the new proposed building, and we have brought it in closer than what the existing setback is right now.
Okay, very good. Questions?
And there is I did provide a presentation that has that in a diagram format in case you wanted to look at that as well.
It doesn't appear my colleagues require a presentation. I've reviewed the file. I've reviewed the letter of opposition. I've reviewed the late material. I don't have any questions. I'm ready to make a decision on this. I don't know, perhaps my colleagues may feel differently? No. Okay. They're shaking their heads. It doesn't appear they require a presentation, but if there's anything you'd like to add, please do.
I mean, really just that, we think that this proposal fits in line with the new EHON requirements. It's really suitable for the neighborhood. There are plenty of multiplexes in this neighborhood, lots of multifamily, and we think it will be a really nice addition to the neighborhood.
All right, thank you. Okay, let's take this into committee. Mr. Nipfel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I very much like this application. I think it basically shows what you can do with a fourplex, and hopefully, if we get a number of these built, we'll have good examples that we can refer people to. I particularly commend the fact that the applicant has gone to some pains to use an interior egress solution, which means he doesn't have a huge, big staircase at the back of the building. I think that helps blend the building with the community. I also particularly like the way he's elevated the building by taking the top floor and going to some pains to ensure that the top floor is not, or the way in which the top floor is dealt with is not adding to height, but actually making the building seem a little bit more compatible with a lower height. So I have no difficulty with this application, and I'm prepared to support it.
Thank you, Mr. Nitfel. I echo your comments about the third story. I appreciate the use of the angular planes and slight stepbacks to help mitigate the overall massing. I think that helps to assuage some of the concerns with the reduced side yard setbacks, certainly.
Yeah, I agree.
Other comments? None? Mr. Nitfel, would you bring a motion for us?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to move approval of the application. I'd like to suggest that the application be tied to a condition that it be built substantially in accordance with the elevations, because I think the way in which the architect has elevated the building is one of its strong points and one of the reasons that this is going to be a compatible building with the neighborhood. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. I support that condition, Mr. Nitfel. I thank you for including that in your motion. Do we have a seconder? If not, yes, Mr. Kaboo. All right, we have a motion, second by Mr. Kaboo. All in favor? Okay, That's unanimous. That application is approved. All right, the time is now 12:26 p.m. That concludes our morning session. We will resume at 2 p.m. With item number 10. Thank you, everybody.